rare and balanced view on politics in today's world. Based on facts, born of rationality, common sense, and logic, providing context on today's events. This is American Perspective with Rick Thomas.
Hello, everyone, and welcome to American Perspective. I am your host, Rick. Well, the Senate confirmed Todd Blanche. Now, granted, it was 50. That was the vote count. 50 versus, I think, 49 or something like that. But anyway, 49, 48. We'll get to all that here in just a minute. But he did get confirmed. He did get confirmed. Hello, David, over on Facebook saying hi. It's his favorite time of the night. And that's American Perspective with me. Oh, hello and welcome to everybody. Newbies, old bees, any other bees that are out there. I do appreciate you showing up here. This is fantastic. By the way, yeah, Bonnie points out that McConnell's vote didn't count. Well, he did vote via proxy on a committee. I did see that. By the way, does anybody not understand that both the House and the Senate have different rules? I mean, look, there's some leftists out there who are trying to make it seem like Mitch McConnell's vote on a committee meeting by proxy, basically online, didn't count. And it's like, well, yeah, except the Senate, because they were saying that the House of Representatives, there was somebody that couldn't vote online in the House of Representatives. These are two separate houses, people. Congress is made up of both of them, yes, but they don't share rules. Like, each house has the constitutional ability to make up their own internal rules. You guys know that, right? Well, I know my Whiskey Warrior P1s do, because they're the smartest listening audience in the ethosphere. I know that. But yeah, it's kind of interesting. Anyway, do we have a birthday? Who's the birthday? Who's the birthday? Let me know. Let me know who's the birthday. I'm going to make a guess. Is it Fernando? Somebody's got to give me the birthday person. Oh, okay. So it is Fernando. All right. Well, I guess I got to warm up the pipes and sing at the end of the show. Just for you, Fernando. No, I won't be singing ABBA's Fernando. Anyway, I'm sure you've heard that like a million times. All right, let's dispense with all of the crap that I've just been spewing. Let's get on to tonight's program. First things first, of course, is the Pledge of Allegiance. Tonight we have Pops McGroin and partner. They are over in the green room right now getting their pipes ready. So if you are of mine, please stand. Remove your hat if you're wearing one, like me. Place your hand over your heart and follow along with Pops McGroin and partner as they recite the Pledge of Allegiance.
I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all. God bless America.
All right. And I thank you, Pops and partner, for that wonderful rendition of the pledge. If you would like to hear your rendition of the pledge played here on the program, all you need to do is record yourself reciting or performing the pledge in your style. Take that audio file, video file, whatever kind of file, and attach it to an email. Send it off to me. Send it to fans, FANS, at AmericanPerspective.online. I've got 25 of these. I need 26 by the end of 2026. So somebody who hasn't done it, send it in. If you use your phone to record the rendition. Then what you need to do is use the share option. That's the SHARE option. And once you do that, you'll be able to share it to fans, FANS, at AmericanPerspective.online. And I will get you into the rotation as quickly as possible. All right. Tonight, before I get to the headline sponsor, I have two things. One, G is running around in his man cave, apparently killing wasps, so he's using Bam's hammer to do so. Anyway, tonight's drink is the Four Roses single barrel. There it is. As you can see, one of my faves. And tonight it is in the special glass that was passed right on over. That's right. This is one of my gifts. One of the gifts from my Whiskey Warrior P1s. It says it takes stones to drink with whiskey. And there's the requisite stones right there in the bottom of the glass. So here we are for a first sip. Smooth. All right. You know, some people would look at that and they'd go, are you really drinking alcohol on the show? Well, yeah. That's where this show started. This show was called the Whiskey Musings Broadcast initially. So, yeah. And I'm carrying on the tradition. But it's only on Wednesday and Saturday nights because that's when the Whiskey Musings Broadcast really was running. I was broadcasting on Wednesdays and Saturdays, and then I went through a transformation because of the topics that I was utilizing on the show. I decided, yeah, it's Rick's show, and he can do whatever he wants. So the matriarch of the Whiskey Warrior P1s says, "There you go. It's in the proof. There it is. It's written. It is written. Therefore, it is so." Anyway, yeah, for those that don't know, that's where this show really started, was Whiskey Musings. And don't get me wrong, Whiskey Musings is still around. The store is still open, and I still have, logos and things like that. And eventually, I'm hoping to reincorporate Whiskey Musings maybe as a segment into the show. But I just haven't had the time and the ability to do so as of yet. But anyway, I digress. But that's my roots. That's where we came from. And so, yeah, there you go. So anyway, all right, let's get on to the headline sponsor. Oh, Lord, we're already, off the rails before I've even gotten started. Holy crap. Anyway, moving on. All right, tonight's headline sponsor is The American View, and you can find them at theamericanview.com. The American View is victorious. They are formerly the Institute on the Constitution. And they are an independent educational organization dedicated to the objective, textual, and historical study of the foundational documents of the United States. That's what they do. And they provide all kinds of information, books, knowledge, and understanding, including courses. That's right. Their first is the U.S. Constitution course. You can study with the founders, or study from the founders, I guess. Anyway, if you want to see what that constitutional journey looks like, lesson 1 is free. All you need to do is put in your first and last name along with your email address, and then click this blue button that says Get Lesson 1 free right here. And you'll be able to have Lesson 1 delivered right to your inbox. That's right, it's electronically delivered. This is a nationally recognized 100% online course. And you can also go and pick up their book. Where is it? There it is. You can go and pick up the student manual in their store. And you can pick it up there. And, if you want to study with them and keep the information there. keep the information for reference. And after you do that, go and check out their other courses, like the other courses that they have, like the it's state constitution courses that they have. Or you can join their community by becoming a donator or a sponsor, becoming a member, or even better yet, become an instructor. That's right. Leave a legacy, restore the constitutional republic, and prepare the future by hosting a course in your community. It's actually really simple. There's 3 steps to become a leader, and it is time to lead. So right here, you can watch this video. They'll tell you the 3 steps that you need in order to do it. And then watch this video for 5 tips for a successful class. You can also go and purchase the instructor material kit, which is a comprehensive resource crafted to empower individuals passionate about the Constitution to share its significance with others. And it is a structured approach to teaching both the Constitution and the Bill of Rights, dispelling all kinds of myths that are perpetuated by the idiot leftists and the mainstream media. You can get that instructor kit along with all of the other books and wonderful things that the American View does and produces right here in their shop. Go to theamericanview.com, click the word shop in the upper right-hand corner. It's in red. You can't miss it. And you'll be taken to this page where you can peruse their offerings with the U.S. Constitution course, other educational resources, self-evident apparel, other instructor materials, and my personal favorite, right here, the Legacy Library. That's right, the Legacy Library is filled with leather. Oh, I love my leather. I love the smell of leather. I love the feel of leather. Yes, I love it. And you can get these leather items, whether it's the Declaration of Independence, the Bill of Rights, Magna Carta, the U.S. Constitution, all of those are leather wall hangings. But I suggest that you start with a pocket-sized U.S. Constitution. That's right. There's theamericanview.com. You can go there and get this, this leather-bound U.S. Constitution. And let me just say that each, according to three Chevy, a long-time Whiskey Warrior P1, he says that each rounded-cornered book purchased will cause a liberal to have gastrointestinal dysfunctions, such that they will think that they ate at Taco Bell, with the whole lettuce thing. And by the way, Whiskey Warrior G says, Bill, who is Billy, he personally requests pocket Constitution stitching from American View for his favorite flavor. You'll understand why here in just a minute. Take a look at this wonderful book. It's got 1/8 of an inch of Saddleback leather wrapped around pages that are water and tear resistant. No cheap glue here, folks. This is stitched all the way through. There's that stitching. All the way through the leather and the pages contained within. It's got a 100-year warranty against materials and manufacturing defects, such that if you have a problem with this sexy rounded corner book, you can send it back to the manufacturer and they will either fix it or replace it for free. It is Buddy tested, Buddy approved, Billy tasted, Billy approved. My youngest Whiskey Warrior has confirmed that the information contained within will help you to achieve your Civics badge in Scouts. Not to mention, you will also learn a lot for your Civics exam, and you can study for your naturalization test. Talk about a 3 for, man, that is 3 for 1 right here in this pocket guide that you can take with you. Pass it down as a family heirloom. It's a 100-year guarantee. Wow. Come on. Go and get yours today by heading over to theamericanview.com. Go to their shop, go to their Legacy Library, and pick up your copy today. And while you're there, check out the rest of the American View's offerings. And I thank them for sponsoring this program. All righty, folks. Well, you might wonder why I have the Constitution up behind me. Well, that's because our wonderful first segment right here is going to be talking about the father of the Constitution. That's right. It's time for On This Day in American History. And for On This Day in American History, we read from the American Patriots Almanac, written by William J. Bennett and John T.E. Cribb. It is chock full of all kinds of factoids. That's right, factoids and information about this great country that we call home. Tonight, as I alluded to, we are going to talk about the father of the Constitution. See, I got prepared tonight, man. Oh, all right. On this day in 1787, delegates to the Constitutional Convention in Philadelphia were in the midst of the 11th week of a long, hot summer spent hammering out a new government for the United States. One young delegate from Virginia never missed a session. He sat up front so he could hear every word and take notes on every speech. At the end of each day, he went back to his boarding house to read over what had been said and write out new arguments. That young Virginian was James Madison, a graduate of the College of New Jersey, which is now known as Princeton University. He was a short, slight man with a soft voice. Someone once observed that he seemed no bigger than half a piece of soap. But his influence on the country was profound. Madison had come to Philadelphia with a plan for a central government with 3 branches. He envisioned a nation where citizens would vote for their representatives. He had spent months studying ancient democracies and republics, and he knew that the strength of the government must come not from harsh laws or armies, but from the people. That summer, Madison made more than 150 speeches in his soft voice. His fellow delegates sometimes had to shout louder, but when he spoke, they knew he would bring sound reason to the debate. Madison answered questions and proposed solutions. He worked on every detail. And at the end of the convention, the new Constitution that the delegates signed largely followed his plan. Madison spent the rest of his life making sure the Constitution worked. His labors included co-writing the Federalist Papers, authoring the Bill of Rights, serving as a congressman and Secretary of State, and as the 4th United States President. For his ideas and hard work, history remembers him as the father of the Constitution. That is tonight's On This Day in American History. Now, folks, I have a book that is made up of Madison's notes on the Constitutional Convention. And I refer to it often when questions come up with regards to discussions on that greatest of documents that was created in 1787 and ratified in 1789, the foundational document for this great nation of 250 years. No, it's not the foundational document that was 250 years ago. That was the Declaration of Independence. But after a failure known as the Articles of Convention, or the Articles of Confederation, I should say, they decided to get rid of the Articles of Confederation because they were too weak, and turned that into the Constitution of the United States. I have all kinds of books, reference books all over the place. My poor wife, Mrs. Whiskey, can't find enough holes to put them in. She complains about it often, I'm just going to say. But they are reference materials, and I keep them. The reason why I take books is because digital stuff can be altered, but a book that somebody owns and protects, it can't be. So there you go. on this day in American history was Madison. Yep, the father of the Constitution. Yes, I do need a library. I need the American, we need to call it the American Perspective Library. Maybe somebody will donate. Maybe the people who wouldn't donate to Joe Biden's library would donate to mine. Not. Anyway, all right. Anyway. Oh, shoot. Okay, where am I? I am lost now. Let's see. I've covered all that. I've gone to that. All right, I think we're good. I think I'm all caught up to where I'm supposed to be. All right, let's talk about this. First of all, the senators have decided to run. They've decided to run away in shame for, not passing the SAVE Act. But hey, they passed a bill that will avert a government shutdown before taking off. They're not scheduled to come back until September, just so you know. And this particular bill keeps the government funded only as far as December 11th. What is it about these people? They just keep kicking the damn can down the road. They're like, well, we don't want to do our damn jobs. We don't want to do our damn jobs, so we're just going to, kick it down the road and play kick the can. We've done it a lot. We've done it for the Social Security. We've done it for the SAVE Act. We've done it for all kinds of things. Yeah, we're just going to send it. We're just going to kick it down the road. Not very far, though, because we're weak asses, so we can't kick it that hard. Anyway. It's enough of my whatever impersonation that actually was. All right, let's get to the meat. The meat of tonight. Blanche survives the two Republican defectors of Lisa Murkowski and Senator Susan Collins. They joined in every single Democrat in opposing Todd Blanche's nomination. Therefore, it ended up coming down to essentially a 50 to, almost a complete split. I'm trying to find the number here. Let's see. Yeah, there's no number here, but he made it. Let's just put it that way. He crossed the finish line. So anyway, mainly due to people like Senator Bill Cassidy and unfortunately Cornyn and Tillis, those guys. Yeah. Anyway, well, yeah. Well, we'll just have to see what happens here. It was part of a mad blitz for the lawmakers to wrap up their work and get out of Washington, D.C. for the August break. So at least he's official. Let's just put it that way. At least he's official. And yeah, I do agree with you, David. Thune needs to go. Thune got no balls. He's literally got no balls. I don't even think that, a prostitute could find him. Anyway, sorry, that was bad. I digress. All right. Oh, yeah, I'm a bit in rare form tonight. Anyway, so Todd Blanche is going to lead the Justice Department. And so in honor of all that, in honor of his confirmation, I figured we'd go take a roundabout run at all of the legal stuff that seems to be happening right now. So let's start off with one of the best news, almost, that I've heard in quite some time. Okay? So we've been hearing talk. We've been hearing talk of a possible retirement at SCOTUS. And because of the age of the top two fantastic SCOTUS actual justices, meaning Thomas and Alito. Sotomayor is a third. She's an activist. She's not a freaking jurist, so we don't even count that. Hopefully, hey, you know what? If she were to announce retirement, I'd be rejoicing, man. I'd be like, oh, hell yeah, let's get this out. Anyway, Samuel Alito has finally come out with the honest truth. He ain't going anywhere. He basically said, well, no, I'm sticking around. I'm sticking around. Oh, it's, yeah, you know, you guys are great. I wish that would happen, but I doubt it. I doubt anybody would put my name in the hat, least of all Trump. Even though technically anybody can be a SCOTUS, you can be nominated. You don't have to be a lawyer. See, that's what people don't seem to understand. You do not have to be a lawyer. You do not have to be a jurist. Now, there's, you know, there actually is precedent for this in history. So, there you go. Anyway, the National Public Radio had posted a piece not too long ago about his retirement. And, that ended up having to get pulled almost immediately. You know, whenever you see a mainstream media outlet, you know, issue a retraction or whatever, have you ever noticed that the retractions are always, if it's a newspaper, they're always on the very last page of the newspaper in the smallest frickin' font in print that they can find? And if it's like a television or a radio broadcast or something like that, it's like the shortest blurb that they could possibly come up with, because they don't want to admit being wrong. They don't want to admit being wrong, because if they admit being wrong, then that would mean that people would not trust them. And they live on the idea of trust. It's sort of like Candace Owens, Tucker Carlson, Alex Jones, you know, and the Podcastistan folks. Yeah. You need to not follow any of those folks. Anyway, because they lie all the time. All right, moving on. Wall Street Journal. He was in the Wall Street Journal where he said, yeah, I'm here to stay for another term. He's like, I'm not going away. So he told the Wall Street Journal he's not going to retire. He's going to serve at least one more term, which is cool. That works. One more term is okay. So, yeah. Yeah. Well, I'm at least happy about that. Now, Thomas, of course, is sticking around. I think Thomas is just holding up his double-barreled middle finger. Well, here's the family-friendly version. I think he's doing it just because. Because if you recall, Biden and the rest of the Democrats really were looking to tear him a new one when he first got on the court, or when he was first nominated. So, yeah. And I think Alito, I'm glad that Alito's hanging out. I really am. I am glad. Now, if we could just get rid of one of the activists, at least one of them. We could just get rid of one of the activists so that we could get another actual, you know, originalist, constitutionalist on the court. Because the other ones, you know, when you're talking about Gorsuch and Kavanaugh and Amy Coney Barrett and Roberts, they're not originalists. In fact, they don't even give a crap about the original interpretations and the original texts in a lot of situations. So, anyway, whatever. All right, I reported earlier this week with regards to Anthony Fauci and Anthony Fauci's iPhone. Well, Anthony Fauci's iPhone has been under examination and scrutiny by the House, I believe it's the House Judiciary Committee. And, well, there was a recent announcement by Ron Johnson, Senator Johnson. He appeared on the Friday night edition of News Nation's Katie Pavlich Tonight. And, well, Let's just say there were some interesting things that showed up on the phone, according to him. Take a listen. Oh, wait, hold on. I just noticed the screen is dark. Where are we? Here we go. Oh, I hate that. Hang on. I got to get it right. There we go. Now we're right. Okay. Where was I? Oh, yes. Let's go ahead and take a listen to Ron Johnson on this.
Your investigations subcommittee has obtained a copy of Dr. Fauci's iPhone. Are you launching a forensic review of that iPhone?
We've actually downloaded the contents. But again, we're still in the initial phases. There's a lot of information on there. Over 34,000 texts, I think 522 voicemail messages. The dates anywhere from about 2014 up to a few days before he left NIH. So there's a lot to go through. What's odd about it, I can't, and my staff can't guarantee that everything was preserved. What is odd is most of those text messages are associated with a phone number. He only had 3 contacts, which is pretty odd.
Uh-oh, they lost audio. Not mine. The clip lost audio. My bad. I didn't pre-do that clip. Anyway, so here, let's hear about some more. Hold on.
Your investigations subcommittee has obtained a copy of Dr. Fauci's iPhone. Are you launching a forensic review of that iPhone?
All right, so this is a
We've actually downloaded the contents. But again, we're still in the initial phases.
A little bit.
And my staff can't guarantee left NIH. So there's a lot to go through. What's odd about it, I can't, and my staff can't guarantee that everything was preserved. What is odd is most of those text messages are associated with a phone number. He only had 3 contacts, which is pretty odd. He was a prolific texter during the pandemic. Again, 34,000 text messages. Anybody knows, text
that sounds, I'm just going to jump in, Senator. That sounds like news and a new number, 34,000 texts on the copy of Anthony Fauci's iPhone. And just to take it a step further, you're going to look at these texts, you're going to look at the emails, and it also sounds like you're going to be looking specifically at any records that were deleted.
Precisely. Again, you can never tell exactly what was deleted, whether you can recover those deletions. We'll compare what we have versus other FOIA texts that people have obtained. Did he provide the full text to those FOIA requests? But this is going to take some time. We need to protect people's personal information. We don't want to release personal information. So this is not going to be a document dump. I also need to preserve documents for our investigation. We are interviewing other people that he may be texting, and if you're going to get truthful answers out of people, that you can't necessarily show them all your investigatory material as well. So again, I'm not going to hold this close to the vest when there are things that the public needs to see. I'm hoping to work very closely with Senator Rand Paul and his staff and release these things jointly. But I want to be careful. I want to protect people, but I want the American people to understand the truth.
So, yeah. Looks like there's a series of things that are on the iPhone. Now, look, I'm going to be honest with you. I work in the tech industry, and I'm going to tell you, the chances of that stuff being completely deleted, because of the fact, and here's the thing, because of the fact that they were able to recover, it was a backup copy now, but because of the fact that they were able to recover even things that were supposedly deleted, indicates to me that there may be another copy somewhere that has all of those quote unquote deletions. Because regardless of what anybody thinks, if you have a computer, a PC, whatever, you throw something away in the trash, all the computer really does is it doesn't actually delete the file. All it does is delete the pointer to where to find the file on the disk. And whether that's a hard drive or, a solid state drive, it doesn't matter. All it does is it deletes the pointer. And until that sector of the disk is overwritten, that data is still there. Believe me, I've performed recovery operations on drives in my personal life that I've been able to recover a large amount of data that many people thought was unrecoverable, and it is possible. So him saying, well, you know, we have a copy. Oh, I'm sure there's another copy somewhere. I'm fairly certain of it, especially if it's anywhere on the internet, because nothing on the internet ever dies. All right, nothing doesn't. Well, all of that being said, let's talk a little bit about Anthony Fauci's problems, his legal issues from Senator Rand Paul. Well, there is a guy who is a legal expert used by CNN oftentimes. His name is Eli, or I don't know, Honig, E-L-I-E, Eli, I guess. Eli Honig is their legal analyst. And well, he was on a television broadcast not too long ago, and he kind of outlined what sort of trouble Anthony Fauci might very well be in. Take a listen to him.
This is a very pedantic question, but what is the difference between the power that Congress has legally, or in this case, a congressional committee, and a court of law?
Right. So right now, Dr. Fauci is in, I would say, contempt of Congress, sorta. He's more like in contempt of one committee of Congress. So first of all, ordinarily, the way this goes, and we've seen various contempt motions over the past several years. First, the committee votes. If it gets through the committee, then it goes to the full House or the full Senate. Apparently, Senator Rand Paul believes that he doesn't want to bring it to the full Senate. Why that may be, I'll leave to Manu and our congressional experts. But Dr. Fauci has not been indicted right now. He's not under any criminal charge for contempt. But what happens now is going to be the really important decision. It goes over to the Justice Department, specifically by law. The U.S. Attorney for the District of Columbia, Jeanine Pirro, who's made a lot of news recently over the Reflecting Pool case, she, presumably along with the Attorney General, will make a decision. Do we bring a criminal contempt prosecution against Dr. Fauci? This has been done in different circumstances, but in recent memory. For example, Peter Navarro and Steve Bannon both were prosecuted. They were indicted, they were tried, they were convicted, and both went to prison for 4 months for contempt of Congress in relation to the January 6th investigation back in 2022-23. So this is real. I mean, the stakes here for Dr. Fauci could potentially be, depending what DOJ decides, a criminal indictment and prosecution.
And this is because...
And there it is. So, yes, he is potentially in contempt of Congress. Now, here's the thing, though. You know, it's kind of interesting how people sort of discuss how a committee is different from the full Senate. And honestly, I think lying under oath, regardless of whether it was in a committee or in front of the full Senate, it shouldn't matter. That part shouldn't matter. And I mean, unless somebody who has much more legal knowledge than I do, and maybe this is something I need to research, but I don't even think that there's any kind of differentiation between whether or not you lie in front of regular Congress or regular Senate or whether you lie in front of the hearings, because that's what you're there for, is the hearings. So, yeah, I'm just, I'm just kind of curious about that. Now, G kind of asks the question, or makes a statement, says, my understanding is that if they wanted him in custody, the sergeant at arms could have arrested him right then and there. There's only one problem. The committee has to essentially vote on whether or not to hold him in contempt. And since they didn't do that right away, and they did it like 2 days later, he actually left the Capitol building. So as of right now, it's possible that if he goes back to the Capitol building, he could get arrested by the Senate Sergeant at Arms. Now, don't forget, there's two halves to that Capitol building. And you have the Senate Sergeant at Arms and you have the House Sergeant at Arms. See, if you recall, there was this guy by the name of Hunter Biden who basically had a warrant out, I think, or some kind of legal document out for his testimony because he did not show up for Congress in one of the two houses. And I can't remember which one it was, but he showed up to the other side and gave a press conference and was perfectly fine. So, I mean, look, I understand this is frustrating. It really is because, I mean, let's face it. If you're in contempt of anything, you're in contempt of any legal proceeding, your butts get thrown into jail, especially if it was just a standard, average, everyday American. But, yeah, these people, they're handling them because of the political nature. I'm sure they're handling them with, kid gloves or whatever. I don't know. It's just, to me, you broke the law, you need to go to jail, period. David over on Facebook says, I do have a question about this. Okay, so he's held in contempt of Congress. Now that 3 states, including my state, have come forward opening up investigations into him, so let's say he gets prosecuted and thrown behind bars. Now can the American people file a huge lawsuit against the NIH and the NIAID due to Fauci being in charge of these organizations? Okay. So, David, here's my rudimentary understanding of how this would work. Okay? You have criminal law and you have civil law. Criminal law is where the federal government or state government, i.e. the government, says you broke a law. And because you've broken a law, you are now going to go to court, represent yourself in court, and if you lose, you will pay the punishment, whatever the punishment is, whether it's a going to jail, whether it's community service, whatever the sentence becomes, okay? In a civil case, you don't go to jail. You're not incarcerated in any way, shape, or form. See, this is the argument that I keep making to everybody who keeps saying, oh, being an illegal immigrant here in the United States is a civil penalty. It's not a criminal one. Bull crap. If you're being incarcerated, meaning that your freedom to move is being taken away, that is a criminal penalty because the civilian courts cannot put you into jail. You would have to have broken a federal or state or local law. Civil court doesn't deal with law. And see, this is where the difference comes into play. Now, all of that being said, if the American people were going to sue somebody, that would fall into the civil courts. And just like every other court in the nation, you have to show to the judge what's known as standing. Now, there's 3 parts to standing. Part number 1, you were harmed. Part number 2, this person broke some law or did something that was nefarious that caused that harm to you. And the most important one, I think, and the one that was constantly utilized during the election cases, is point number 3. The court has to be able to do something in order to gain you some sort of recompense, is what I think it's called. Meaning that the court has to be able to have the authority to actually bring you some sort of relief, restitution, whatever. Okay? So, whenever you go into a court system and you're sitting there and you're trying to sue, you need to demonstrate that you have standing to be able to bring the suits. Now, usually in the terms of the federal government's case, it's pretty easy. They have standing because they're the ones who are enforcing the laws. They're accusing you or whoever of breaking those laws, and they have to prove their case. But when it comes to a civil case, a civil trial and a civil case things can be tossed out, which is what happened with the elections, cases. And so this is a lot of freaking legalese, but realistically, could it happen? Absolutely. Somebody with the means and the resources could very well sue the NIH and the NIAID, but they'd have to prove that both of those organizations, through Fauci's actions, were negligent in some way, shape, or form and got people killed. Now, as of right now, there doesn't seem to be any connection other than the fact that Fauci lied about all of the stuff. But he didn't necessarily go out and tell people, hey, go out and inject yourself with this thing. He said it's recommended that you get the vaccine, even though we know it wasn't a vaccine. It wasn't very effective. And it could possibly have hurt people. But because we haven't definitively or had a definitive proof that has linked his actions to an individual's death or a family member's death, even though millions of people have died, millions of people die from the standard flu, or, well, not millions, but hundreds of thousands sometimes can die because of the flu, the standard flu, whether they got the flu shot or not. So, right now, and also, too, keep in mind that the person, if you're going to go after anybody realistically who could be responsible for a vaccine injury, it would be the vaccine manufacturer, not necessarily Anthony Fauci. And you would have to get by that whole, not pardon, but you can't go after them. We've waived their responsibility. The government decided to waive their responsibility so they would hurry up during Operation Warp Speed and get it out. So this is a very, very messy situation. And realistically, it's probably going to take years, if not decades, for things to kind of unravel realistically across the whole thing. And yes, I am aware people lost their jobs. Some people never went, we're never going back. People in the military, they lost their careers because of, the government forcing this experimental jab essentially on you. There's plenty enough to warrant going after somebody. I just don't know how solid of a case you actually would actually have in this particular situation. Don't take my word for it, though. Consult a lawyer first, obviously. All right. Well, let's move over to Washington, D.C., in particular, the White House grounds. And apparently we have a court, the D.C. court, that has decided that, now that the East Wing is gone, it's been flattened, and the construction crews are already there. They've already got all of this stuff and everything else. No, you can't build. You can't build the ballroom, the White House ballroom, they say. According to this, the U.S. Appeals Court's opinion is basically that, Congress only can be the one to appropriate funds for the maintenance of the White House or any of its improvements. And this appeals court, I personally think this is really a weak argument, in my opinion. Because if Donald Trump is like bringing in private money to get this done, it bypasses the whole Congress appropriations process, because that's the reason why you have an appropriations process in Congress, is because of the fact you're competing for funds that are taxpayer funded. So therefore, it's using taxpayer money And you have different qualifications and different justifications for all of this. Whereas in this particular case, the funding is bypassing Congress. It's bypassing all of that appropriations crap. It's bypassing the fact that it's the taxpayers that would be paying for it. And the appeals court is basically saying, and this is the truth, because of the fact that Congress authorized the repair and reconstruction of the White House after the British attempted to burn it down during the War of 1812. They said, we are aware of no other instance in American history in which a president unilaterally and using privately collected funds demolished substantial portions of the White House that Congress authorized to be built and the American taxpayers paid for until now. Well, let me explain something to you, appeals court. Just because it's never been done before doesn't mean that it's possible. Here's the thing. There's this thing, behind me, right here, in this pocket, called the Constitution. The Constitution, right? The only part of the Constitution that specifically designates or talks about the D.C. area, which, by the way, Washington, D.C., the district, is supposed to be a 10 square mile area that was appropriated from the two neighboring states in which D.C. resides. And Congress, by the way, is supposed to be over and above everything in the D.C. area. That's how the Constitution says. Well, there's a bit of a problem. One, Congress actually is not currently over everything in the D.C. area. In fact, they have ceded their authority to things like, mayor, the mayor of D.C., the, I don't know what they call them, but like a council, town council. See, Congress is supposed to be in charge of all of this, but they've gone and they said, well, we're just going to build this, council, and we're going to hand everything over so the day-to-day running of D.C. is going to be done by a mayor and, a city council, and we're just washing our hands of it. Done. We're out. That would indicate that they have no desire or interest in being a part of things like the White House. And by the way, I seem to think that there's a lot of places within the district, within D.C., that are parks. And that falls under the National Parks Department for appropriations and funding, which is along with other things. So, yeah, I'm not exactly sure this really has a leg to stand on. Because, again, I'm just like, really? Now, the panel also pointed out that whether or not a massive ballroom should be constructed is for Congress to decide and is not a matter for executive self-help. They also pointed out that Congress hasn't, quote, ceded unfettered authority to the executive branch to dramatically redesign, reshape, and reconstruct the White House, the People's House, to fit a particular president's desires. Every single president in history has come in and revamped the White House. I seem to recall this guy. What's his name? Oh, God. Obama? Yeah, there we go. Who, commissioned putting in a basketball court. I don't even think that was even ran through Congress, to be honest with you. And I don't even think the Congress would have cared because they were just like, okay, whatever. They do realize, I don't think this appeals court actually realizes that every single president that has come in has taken the furniture and the design and like thrown it out at times, with the exception of some things. But even like things like the china, they get to pick what china, the president gets to pick what kind of china he's using. I mean, seriously? I don't know if this appeals court realistically has a leg to stand on here. And one of my Whiskey Warriors, 3 Chevy, says Nixon had a bowling alley. Yeah. And I know that people, that presidents have upgraded the White House and put in things like, I don't know, data networks, movie theaters, all kinds of stuff. In fact, the entire design after 1812 was, I'm drawing a blank, but there was a president who actually lived across the street while the renovations to rebuild the house after the War of 1812. He lived across the street, and it wasn't until his successor was almost in it before he was able to go in. I mean, I don't know if this really is going to pass muster, realistically. Well, Trump says, well, you know what? You guys are actually jeopardizing the lives of future presidents, because that's the whole point of this ballroom. And he says that he's going to appeal to the Supreme Court. Now, I just have one request. Don't send John Sauer. I don't care if he's a Solicitor General. Just don't send him, because his defense of the birthright citizenship case, he should have gotten fired for that, honestly. I would have been just like, yeah, you're out. You're done. So Trump, in a Truth Social post, he decried the 2-1 decision from the U.S. Court of Appeals and said it was horrendously politically motivated and unlawful. In a subsequent Truth Social post, Trump also blasted the 2-judge majority, noting that one judge was appointed by former President Barack Obama, the other by former President Joe Biden. He took particular issue with the panel's statement that each president is a temporary tenant of the White House. And while that's true, he wrote that presidents are not tenants, but are elected by the American people and have the authority to fix, renovate, secure, protect, and beautify the White House grounds. He's not wrong here. Trump is not wrong here. I mean, seriously, if they found a hole in the White House fence, do you think the Secret Service would have the funding to get it fixed? Absolutely. You don't have to go through Congress for that. That's just general order of business. I don't see how this is realistically anything different. I mean, yes, it does seem to be major construction, but I mean, let's be honest here. It's not as though he's, destroying the entire White House and then putting his name on it. Although that would be pretty funny. Anyway, so, yeah. And apparently JFK, according to my very wise Whiskey Warrior 3 Chevy, says JFK remodeled the entire thing. Yeah, well, I mean, how many times have they gone and remodeled it and updated things inside, whether it was plumbing or, corrected issues or whatever, and brought it up to date without Congress's approval? How many times? I can just imagine. It's quite a few. Anyway, I don't know if this is really going to go to the Supreme Court. If it does go to the Supreme Court, who knows? I'm sure Thomas will bring up, Thomas would bring up all of the historical times that the White House has been renovated, changed, modified, whatever, without Congress's approval, and be like, come on, folks, this is being stupid. Anyway. David's a comedian over on Facebook. He says, I mean, hell, if I can recall, Sleepy Joe, I mean, Dr. Jill had Biden's temporary home built at the White House, temporary nursing home, sorry. I don't see any difference than Trump building his ballroom. Yeah, no kidding. I'm just saying. Yeah. So, yeah. It's just, I don't know, these guys. They're just, honestly, I think they're just bitching just to be bitching. Seriously. I seriously think so. All righty, folks. Let's go into tonight's second. Oh, we got to take a quick break. Second sponsor, which is none other than the True Grit Roots Network. That's right. TGRN stands for True Grit Roots Network. And let me tell you, they've got 2 fantastic digital radio channels available today. The flagship, known as Burnin' Rock and Radio, BRNR. And the other one, Dallas Moore Outlaw Radio. Go and check them out. Go to tgrn.net. Check them both out today. You can play right in your browser. You can listen on Burner, newly launched flagship, Burner. You can listen to things like Def Leppard, Bon Jovi, Metallica, oh yeah, and The Offspring. You can listen to them and more over on Burner. That's right, the flagship for TGRN. Can you get it on your Fire Stick? I believe so, but honestly, I don't know how. I know for a fact that you can get it on your Amazon Echo, because I have one, and I played it. So basically, because it is being used, or we are using Live 365 as our distribution service, you need to download or connect to the Live 365 app. Now, you can do this on almost all smart TVs, so I would imagine that the Fire Stick has it as well. Go to Live 365, and then in their catalog, you would search up BRNR by TGRN, and that should get you what you need. Okay? So that should get you what you need. And there you go. If you don't want to download an app to your television or whatever, I think it's pretty cool. Download it to everything. But you can also take us on your mobile device by downloading the apps through the App Store and or the Google Play Store, depending upon which way you go. Okay? So you have the download on the App Store and Google Play. Now, actually, Bonnie, no, your Echo. My Echo says you're stupid. No. On the Echo, on the Amazon Echo, I have found this out, okay? You need to tell Amazon Echo to open Live 365. And then if that part doesn't work, she'll tell you, oh, we don't have it. Do you want me to download it or enable it? And you say yes. Then once you are there, you say open Live 365. Then you can tell her to play BRNR by TGRN, and you'll be able to get it. Yeah, so there you go. Or you can download it to your mobile device and just take us anywhere. Do it. Download on the App Store or the Google Play. Go and check us out, TGRN. That stands for True Grit Roots Network. We're based out of Austin, Texas, and you can check us out on tgrn.net. That's tgrn.net. Go and check it out today. Oops, wrong one. All right. Oh, where was I? Oh, I was here. Well, I gotta say, now that we got Blanche in, maybe we're gonna see some things go with some of this stuff. You remember all of those sanctuary cities and sanctuary states and all of those things, all those places that are trying to like, oh, we're going to obstruct ice. We're going to stop ice. Ice doesn't belong here. All of these things. Well, their day of reckoning might be coming. Apparently, the Department of Justice or somebody sent out a notification. Federal authorities sent letters to certain places threatening to charge, in particular, the Hennepin County Sheriff, Dewana Witt, with witness tampering. Now, a similar threat was also reportedly made to the Cook County Sheriff in Illinois, where Chicago is also holding these people and not allowing ICE to come collect them. This is kind of interesting because in all of actuality, these sanctuary cities and sanctuary states are literally breaking federal law. What? Yes, they are breaking federal law. Let me show you what federal law they are actually in violation of. Oh, let's go check out our favorite, the Legal Information Institute at the Cornell Law School. Take a look at this. Title 8, United States Code, Section 1324, Subsection A, Subsection 1, Subsection A, any person who, subsection, whatever it is, 3 or 2, knowingly or in reckless disregard of the fact that an alien who has come to, entered, or remains in the United States in violation of law, then attempts to transport, move, or attempts to transport or move such alien within the United States by means of transportation is in furtherance violation of that law. So if they take them out of jail and send them elsewhere or drive them anywhere, yeah, guess what? That's transportation. There's also this one right here underneath it. Knowingly or in reckless disregard to the fact that an alien has come to, entered, or remains in the United States in violation of law, conceals, harbors, or shields from detection, or attempts to conceal, harbor, or shield from detection such alien any place, including any building, or by any means of transportation, well, guess what? They're in violation of the law, too. Harboring, and shielding from detection. That's what these people are doing. They're harboring and shielding from detection. And this is a federal law. Now, for those of you who sit there and say, well, federal law and state law, I mean, state law says that they're going to be a sanctuary city, so federal law doesn't mean anything. Oh, no. There's this thing in the Constitution. It's known as the Supremacy Clause. And the most common application of the Supremacy Clause is basically this: that if a state law is in violation of a federal law, the federal law shall take precedence, and the state law is null and void. See, all you really need, honestly, is a set of balls. That's it. You just need to have a set of balls to actually enforce the laws as they are written. So, do you think these sheriffs, these mayors, these governors, do you think any of these people have any idea that they are actually breaking federal law here? They probably don't, because they're complete, utter, stupid morons. Just pointing that out. So, yeah. And by the way, it says that anybody who engages in any conspiracy to commit any of the preceding acts, or aids or abets in the commission of any of the preceding acts, which I've already pointed out to you right here, that they shall be punished as provided in paragraph B. So let's see what paragraph B says. Paragraph B says that any person who violates subparagraph A shall, for each alien in respect to whom such a violation occurs, if the violation of any of those is done for the purpose of commercial advantage, private financial gain, shall be fined under Title 18 and imprisoned not more than 10 years. In case of a violation of A, subsection 2, they're going to be fined under Title 18 and imprisoned not more than 5 years or both. There's your law right there. So they're facing up to 5 years in prison. They're facing any additional fines as well. They'll be fined. So, Now, here's another challenge. So you know how these guys have been released by these people? And they've gone on and committed other crimes? Well, guess what? You want to know what the fine is for that? In case of violation of subparagraph A, 1, 2, 3, or 4, or 5, during and in relation to which the person causes seriously bodily injury as defined in Section 1365 of Title 18, 2, or places in jeopardy the life of any person, be fined under Title 18 and imprisoned not more than 20 years or both. I'm pausing here. See, in radio, you can't pause too long because they look at that as a silence and it becomes a silence detection issue, and then you can get cut off or go to some sort of automatic programming or something like that. But I am pausing here to simply point out, I seem to recall governors doing this, letting people out when they know that they're here illegally. Not to mention AGs or whoever, the district attorneys, whatever. And then they go on and they kill somebody, or they seriously harm somebody. They do a knife attack. They do a gun attack. Doesn't matter whether the person has, he's done it. He's done these according to this law. According to this law, he's letting them go. Oh, yes, thank you. We can't forget the Wisconsin judge who has been taken off, disbarred, whatever, because of it. But seriously, folks. Oh, and by the way, it continues. Even worse. Down here. Here's the bottom. In the case of a violation of any of the above subparagraphs in A, resulting in the death of any person, could very well be punished by death or imprisoned for any term of years or life, be fined under Title 18 or both. So if you're seriously bodily injured by a governor or by an illegal alien whom a governor knowingly let out without handing them over to ICE, that governor could be imprisoned not more than 20 years or fined or both. If the person died, then that individual who let them out, that illegal alien killed them, well, that person could be in violation of Title 8, Section 1324, and be punished by death or for any term of years for life. Seriously, folks, all we would have to do is enforce already pre-written law, and we would get rid of a lot of these Democrats. And this bullshit that these cities and sanctuary states are doing they'd go away. It would be done, folks. It would be done. Now, is it going to look good politically? Hell no. But frankly, I don't care. This is the law. This is the law. It's already written on the books. You can look it up and read it for yourself. Harboring certain aliens, knowingly bringing in an alien, okay, and knowingly harboring an alien is a violation of federal law. Period. Full stop. End of story. We need to start putting these people away. Seriously. We just need to. All right. Well, there's at least one somewhat smart federal judge out there. This next story covers a federal judge. Do you remember the Southern Poverty Law Center? By the way, I've been taking great joy in going to the Southern Poverty Law Center's Facebook page. And every time they talk about all of the wonderful things that they are doing, I basically post, so is that because you're funding that thing in order to, run the scam? I mean, the business model of funding the thing you claim to be fighting against with donation money. Anyway, I know it's petty. I know. And sometimes it's just the simple things in life that get me to smile or laugh. Anyway, the federal judge has rejected the Southern Poverty Law Center's vindictive prosecution claim. And what's better is he has told them in a blistering email that, or a blistering ruling that, you guys are stupid. So the guy, or the gal, I should say, the judge is United States District Judge Emily Marks. Emily Marks ruled on Friday against the SPLC's motion to dismiss the indictment because it was arguing that it is being vindictively prosecuted at the behest of various political actors. Oh, I'm sorry. You mean the whole thing that Merrick Garland did all that time, that was okay, but now you're being brought to the fold with actual evidence that you deceived your donators and everything else and used money for nefarious purposes, and now all of a sudden you're pissed? Anyway, sorry. Anyway, they continued and they said, including the President of the United States, for engaging in speech protected under the First Amendment. No. The SPLC also sought discovery, including production of internal DOJ communications and an evidentiary hearing. All of that was denied. Marks basically said that the SPLC failed to offer some evidence tending to show animus on the part of the prosecutors involved in bringing the case, and that such animus actually resulted in the prosecution. She also said the standard to allow discovery, and that by failing to meet that standard, that it necessarily failed to meet the higher standard required to dismiss the indictment. So, the SPLC's theory of vindictive prosecution as it laid out in its filings was just that. Marks said was a rough outline of a theory to which the group expected the court to actually fill in the blanks, which is not the court's job. The SPLC's theory, as best it could be understood, sought to link pre-indictment statements by President Trump, FBI Director Kash Patel, Acting Attorney General, now Attorney General, Todd Blanche, Assistant Attorney General Harmeet Dillon, and others. They sought to link those statements to a reopening of a 2019 investigation that was actually closed under the Biden administration. They tried to link an FBI October 2025 FBI report criticizing the SPLC's hate map, no duh, and a post-indictment media blitz by both Trump, Blanche, and Dillon as evidence of prosecutorial vindictiveness. No, sweetheart. I'm talking to the SPLC. You guys were just stupid. You took in donor money and you funneled it through a various bunch of shell corporations to fund the very hate that you were saying that you were fighting against. Yeah. Anyway, the judge observed that the lack of the intellectual heft the SPLC actually brought to its motion, that, the party's briefing is like much of our modern political discourse, heavy on heated rhetoric, better suited for cable news or a podcast. It emphasizes noise over substance. She elaborated a bit in her conclusion, which basically said this case typifies modern American discourse. It is unsurprising that the party's arguments, meaning the SPLC, primarily comprise with what has become all too common: ad hominem attacks in the form of press releases, interviews, social media posts. Opponents of past, current, and future administrations may full-throatedly protest the decisions made by those in power, but our republic recognizes different venues to vindicate different wrongs. Federal courts are not the proper forum for airing political grievances. For that reason, the doctrine of vindictive prosecution places a heavy burden on the accused, and decades of precedent counsels against its application here. In other words, she gave them the not-so-family-friendly double-barreled middle fingers. Anyway, you gotta love when that happens. Oh, speaking of loving what happens, here in our final minutes, New York City homeowners have decided to sue Ma'am Danny over his pied-à-terre tax rollout. So a trio of Big Apple homeowners have filed a suit now to delay the state's controversial new tax on luxury second homes, claiming that Zohran Mamdani's, Zoflake, bungled the rollout and unfairly put the burden on homeowners. The disgruntled owners charged that City Hall is unfairly burdening them by forcing them to prove they are full-time New Yorkers if they do not want to pay the pied-à-terre tax, according to the suit filed on Friday in Staten Island's Supreme Court. Yeah. The city Department of Finance has arbitrarily and capriciously foisted onto New York City residents the burden of proving that they are not subject to the surcharge, the filing states. It also calls out the DOF's move to publish a tax roll of nearly 1 million properties that may be subject to the new surcharge, and the 17,000 notices it mailed to homeowners warning them that they would be hit with a 5-figure bill unless they file for an exemption. One of the plaintiffs, Ma'am Danny supporting Manhattanite Simon Headley, told the Post he doesn't take issue with the law itself, but opposes how the city is distributing the threatening notices. Oh my gosh, just like a freaking leftist. Well, I don't really care about the law. I mean, the law is a great law as long as it's applied to everybody else other than me. Anyway. The Zoflake. That's right. For those of you that don't know that reference, go to last night's show to listen to that. Apparently, the New York City mayor's got some really thin skin. I gotta tell you. All right. Well, you know that SCOTUS hearing ruling that came back. I think it was Harvard, that basically said that, hey, you guys can't use race as a primary reason for admissions. You remember that? Well, the DOJ has discovered that Duke, in particular, Duke's law school, kept discriminating against white applicants despite that ruling that basically said race should not be considered as a thing. So the Department of Justice has now concluded that Duke University's School of Law violated federal law by using race-based admission practices even after the Supreme Court struck down such policies. Yeah. So the DOJ announced on Thursday that Duke University School of Law had given preferential treatment to Black and Hispanic candidates during the admissions process. This violates Title VII of the Civil Rights Act of 1964 and the Supreme Court's 2023 ruling in Students for Fair Admissions versus Harvard, which barred race-conscious college admissions. The discrimination took place between 2023 and 2025, according to the DOJ. Internal documents and admissions data uncovered by the DOJ, Duke showed an intent to discriminate against all racial groups, with the exception of Black and Hispanic applicants. To accept more Black and Hispanic applicants, the university used various mechanisms such as diversity essay questions and other proxies for race to advance its diversity goals, which were consciously disguised as race-neutral measures, according to internal communications. As a result of the practices, highly qualified white, Asian, and other students were denied admission on the basis of their race, the DOJ said. Yeah. You know, it's about time we just throw away the idea of race as even a thing. I mean, shoot, we've already thrown away the idea of sex. You can be whatever you want. Like, I'm a she, she, zhao, zhu, jim. Or even better yet, species. Well, I'm not a human. I'm a freaking cat. And because I'm a cat, you have the responsibility, because it's my right to piss in a litter box. Somebody somewhere, please make it make sense. Because I'm confused by it. I really am. I'm not confused. I just whatever. Anyway, all right, as we close this night out, I just want to point out, you know, the WNBA, and you have Sophie Cunningham. She has certainly sparked something. Well, you know how the coaches, I talked about this a couple of days ago, the coaches have all been like, oh, well, you know, we don't really care. Men and women's sports doesn't really matter. Transgender doesn't really matter. No problem. There's no difference between the women who play in the WNBA and any transgender who wants to come in. Well, they're about to get their asses handed to them. This is from Outkick. You remember Clay Travis. Clay Travis offered $10 million for the championship WNBA team to play any high school boys team. And if they won, he would give them $10 million. If they lost, there'd be nothing on the plate. Well, now, there's a couple of NBA players who are basically saying, you know what? We've looked at it. Legally, we've looked at it. We've had lawyers looked at it. We're declaring themselves. It's Enes Kanter and Royce White have both said, hey, you know what? We're eligible. We're eligible for the next WNBA draft. We want to come play. Now, Enes Kanter is like 6'10", okay? He would tower over these women. Seriously. Oh, my gosh. Anyway, Enes Kanter, they're challenging the league. Royce White is challenging the league. And they're basically saying, now, by the way, these are two now former NBA players. And White goes, hey, I'm transgender. I'm a woman. I identify as sometimes identifying as a woman for the purpose of basketball, professional basketball. So I'll be declaring for the WNBA draft in 2027. He goes, I think I'd be unstoppable. But, hey, I'm a team first guy. I'm a pass first kind of player. I do the little things. I led my team in all 5 major stat categories at Iowa State University. So I do a little bit of everything. I'll do whatever the coach needs me to do. I'll do whatever the girls need me to do. I think it's only fair. Oh, God. Oh, this is such a sucker. So freaking ridiculous. All right, I'm over time. Oh my gosh, and I just barely got that one in under the wire. All right, folks, that is it for me for this evening. Do me a favor, if you haven't already, head on over to rumble.com, get yourself an account. It is free. And once you are signed up and signed in, make sure that you search for the American Perspective channel and hit that green follow button to get notified every time that I go live. Also, too, don't forget my new streaming platform, pilled.net. That's PILLED.net. Pilled.net. Go and check it out. Maybe sign up for an account. It'll be fun. And don't forget, on your way out, give me a red pill or give me a thumbs up, thumbs down, thumb sideways, or at an angle if you're 3 Chevy across all my platforms, whether it's X, YouTube, Facebook, or, of course, the aforementioned Pilled.net and Rumble. We will see you Monday, 5 p.m. Pacific, 8 p.m. Eastern Time, right here on American Perspective. Oh, my goodness. I got one more thing. One more thing before you all take off. We have a birthday in Fernando 360 over on Rumble has a birthday. And this is something that I started. I don't know why. But Fernando 360, here it is for you, my friend. Here's your birthday song. Happy birthday to you. Happy birthday to you. Happy birthday, dear Fernando 360 over on Rumble. Happy birthday to you. All righty. Happy birthday, Fernando. And to the rest of you, have a great rest of your weekend. And good night, everybody.